You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 26th of July 2024.
So you're watching Slop, were you?
Watching Sloppy Toppy. That's what the Americans call a blowjob.
Yeah. Some people call it brain.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate all of their euphemisms for getting sucked off. It's really awful. What else do they have? There's head, brain, sloppy, slob, whatever.
Yeah.
There's some other one, isn't there?
There must be. In England they say uck.
Ugh.
Which I always think is funny. She gives uck.
That's, yeah, uck. That's what UK stands for. Or, that's how you're...
Yeah.
See? Something like that? I don't know.
Turn it back on them.
So you're watching Chopped, which is a show where you are given a bunch of ingredients and then 5 chefs have to compete against each other making 3 courses. They get eliminated each course until there's only one winner. And you have like 20 minutes you see the ingredients and then it's 20 minutes to make a main course or an appetizer. And that just does not seem like enough time to make anything. Like all the chicken coming out raw.
Your camera just went.
Did it?
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is a new computer.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea what's happening. All right, what about now? Is it back?
Yeah.
Am I moving?
You're moving, man.
This is pissing me off. There's so many little things that have gone wrong with this laptop in such a weird way.
Yeah, what make is it?
I don't know. I went to that fucking PC fucking specialist. Do you know PC? Yeah, the PC brigade. And they told me, you can't have a laptop because Israel benefits somehow. And I was like, what if I want to benefit Israel?
Yeah, well, that's the point.
PC specialist, and they just are like, choose your bits and bobs, and I did, and then it arrived, and I just went all out on like RAM and that was it. I didn't actually pay attention to pretty much anything else, and now it's caused a few problems already.
Yeah, maybe it's like that. You know that thing that like, if you put too good an engine into too bad of a car. It just like destroys the car somehow.
Yeah.
What if it's like that with RAM?
Yeah. It's like it's like it's like
you get a V8 engine and you stick that in a.
It's like if you put a fucking. Oh
yeah, I know.
Okay.
You get a V8 and you put it into the.
Yeah. So
what's a bad car?
I think
Don't say my car.
Wasn't a Ford Prefect famously supposed to be a bad car, or a DeLorean? That's why they were used in those famous science fictions.
Yeah, we can't have our car knowledge be from
the 1970s. That's actually very true. Now I need to think about what a bad car is. And I'm not going to say a hybrid because James drives one.
Okay. What type of hybrid do I drive?
Oh, gosh. How dare you?
What make?
The one, Hyundai. It's a fucking Hyundai. It's the fucking thing, isn't it?
Sorry.
Is that right? No? Toyota?
No. Toyota. The other one.
Don't those logos look alike? Am I crazy?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
All right, let me look up the Hyundai logo.
Looks like. It's like a H, probably.
Yeah, and then what is a Toyota? Zainab said
T?
no immediately, and she could not be more wrong, by the way. Okay?
Maybe it's different in Egypt.
Hyundai is a H.
I know it's a H. I'm just saying, do they look alike, the front of the car? And they fucking absolutely do. Absolute psycho shit. I'm looking at it right now. Unbelievable. So anyway, on Chopped, they change the ingredients every now and again, like the type of cooking.
So you get a bin full of ingredients.
Yes.
And you have to cook. So is it like you get like a chicken and an orange?
Yes, that's exactly
some
it.
mint.
Yeah.
But then say you use the orange in the starter.
Mm-hmm.
Can you use another one in the main?
No, like they give you different hampers for each course. And then they also have a kitchen where there's other stuff in it that you can get, like coconut milk or whatever, you know?
It should just be you get a big bin full of things.
Yeah.
So then by the end, all you have is like, the string from the chicken's leg and the, the orange. That's dessert,
I wish I had used my ice cream on the appetizer. Fucked. But like they had one, and so those I can't remember the first one we watched, but like they give different themes, so they have to pull together chefs that have expertise in those areas. So the last one we watched was like healthy eating, whereas yeah, that was kind of lame. But the other one, the one that I watched last night was for like elegant eating, like 4-star restaurants, and so they have like the biggest dickheads you've ever seen. They're just like,
yeah,
I like to have like, I like sophistication with my meals, and and then there's this guy, and he came up with a backstory, and he's like, I'm here because I want to show my kids that you can get anywhere, whatever you want, your dreams. And what actually the first thing he said was, I want to show my kids why they don't see their father all that often, which is very funny.
Jesus.
And then he said, and then they asked him, why are you here? And he goes, I'm just here because I want to show my kids that anyone can make it. I was like, that's not what you said in the other interview, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then they give him all these ingredients. And I will admit that one of them they gave, and all of the chefs took out this thing and were like, I don't even know what the hell this is. They're just like, so they just had to like eat it and be like, it kind of tastes salty. Maybe I can just, do this with it. But anyhow,
what was it? Did they say what it was?
Yeah, they do say what it was.
Snot.
It was called
Was it
like
snot?
something blossom. And it was green, and it was like
Snot.
No, it was like it was almost like some sort of like, it looked like kind of like I wouldn't say like a clover, but it would be like, God, what am I talking about? Those crisps, quavers. They looked like green quavers, okay?
And it was salty, and it's called blossom.
And it was like a fucking caper, basically. Similar to that.
It was called a blossom.
And it was called a something blossom. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, they got their... they would do things like this. Like, in the hamper, we've given you like a big piece of like steak that's a cut that's worth $300 or something like that. And I was like, and then we've given you gold-coated sushi. And they're like, okay, well, so this guy, he took off. Oh, yeah, here's actually the funniest one was they got caviar on top of creme fraiche that was on top of a crisp. And so people were doing stuff like, I'm just going to scoop the creme fraiche off and turn that into a sauce.
No, that's what they gave them. That's not what someone made.
No, that's what they gave them, which was like, this is crazy that this feels like this is already made. This is a thing. So I had to like...
Yeah, it's not an ingredient.
So he like unwrapped the seaweed and then he deep fried that and turned that into like crisps or something. That kind of like, it's like, seaweed crisps.
Yes, some bullshit thing.
And then they were like, you did not bring out the sophistication of these ingredients. You did not bring out the elegance within them. But obviously they have 20 minutes to do this. So they're just like firing through this thing. And the ingredients are insane. And it's very addictive. They've managed to, on American TV, they've managed to get it down to like a fine art where like, I was like, I'm not watching another one of these. And then because we were watching it on like our telly app, and on an American channel, they don't have any credits. They're like, oh, I won. And then they're immediately into the start of the next one.
Right.
So they're like, oh, I'll just stick in here until I see what ingredients they're playing with. And then like, I was like, okay, who's voted out? And then they take off the lid and it cuts straight to commercial. And you're like, fine, I'll fucking,
Nowadays, all ads are for like adult nappies and incontinence things. It's just
mad, yeah.
The only people watching TV are 75 plus, and it's all just like, oh, I wish I could go, do whatever the fuck I do, like an asshole,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't. I need to piss every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, or I like the other ones that are like, when it's like, I wish I got a date, but my teeth keep falling out of my head. So then I got this thing that like super glues the teeth into my head, and now I can give uck to that old dickhead.
Exactly.
Where am I have my teeth falling out?
Yeah, because they'll be like, these two people are giving uck, but only one of them is wearing dentures. Can you tell?
I'm trying to think of a good episode of Chopped. Like a good theme.
Yeah. Well, we look up some themes actually just to get the creative juices going. Juices.
Race would be good.
They're all just about juices. Graces. I heard. Okay, I heard.
So you go first. What would your starter be?
It depends on the ingredients.
You can have any ingredient for this one.
My starter would be fucking piece of sourdough toast and some avocado on it, probably.
Yeah.
Knowing my generation.
What race would that belong to?
What do you mean, what race?
The theme is race.
Oh, I thought you said grace the entire time.
No, I said race.
Then I'd make a freaking egg mayonnaise sandwich on white bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, elegance personified.
Yeah, that'd be like, they'd be like, you should have put something on it to like cress. And I was like, that gives me an upset tummy because I'm so fucking white. Yeah. Do you get it?
Cress is too spicy.
Yeah.
But this mayo ass white boy.
And I also say tummy because I'm white, my tummy.
Yeah. You also say, look what this honky motherfucker served up.
I'm trying to find the themes of these ones. Do you know how many seasons of the show there are, by the way?
1. Chernobyl, that'd be good. It's like a deer with 3 eyes, and you have to get all the eyes first.
They open up the basket and they go, a deer with 3 eyes, a crow's wing. Trying to think of other stuff that'd be there. Some brown grass that grew next to the reactor.
Yeah. I was watching this video, and it's this guy, he's like a dwarf, and he goes around Chernobyl.
Yeah.
He goes like swimming in the radiant,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no wonder he's so short. But he did another one where he went into these like, I don't know where it is. It's like there's one where he goes into like these subway back tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just saw a clip of another one, and he's like in like a what do you call it? Like a tube, like a sewer pipe. he's like inside the pipe. He's like
Gross.
crouched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like he's gotten inside. What do you call those things? Like a pipe. He's like inside the pipe.
A drain? No.
Yeah, but it's like inside. Like, anyway, like it's like a metal pipe, and he's inside it.
Okay.
And then there's like this brown something hanging off the top,
Okay.
and he just licks it.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting very distracted by some of these.
So get him
themes.
on Chopped, is what I'm saying.
Noodle
eat anything.
Palooza is the name of this episode from, and you still didn't guess what season it's from.
1. Is it from season 1?
No, from like, how many seasons of the show are there? Sorry.
50.
58, apparently.
Okay.
Pretty crazy, isn't it?
So it's been on for 50 years.
No, I just don't know how they break it up. Maybe they have like 2 seasons a year, but it's been on since 2009. I'm trying to find the
There's
rich
more.
one so I can figure out what the Blossom thing was called. Oh, wow. Here's one, though, because it's called Squidding Around is the name of this episode, okay? And the appetizer ingredients, and I tell you what, I'm all ready for this because tomorrow, but not to spoil it, but a chimichanga hot dog is one of the appetizer ingredients.
What is a chimichanga?
Basically, like, I think it's like a fried burrito or like a deep fried burrito.
And they've converted that into a hot dog.
Yeah. Well, they are American. I cannot believe I got that right. A deep fried burrito. Yeah. It's Tex-Mex.
Yeah, do you think a hot dog is a sandwich or a roll?
Not this again. You are not getting me.
What's the question? What is the question? A hot dog or is a hot dog a sandwich?
I thought if it was a burger was a sandwich or a
Hot dog.
I don't know what the fuck that is. Is a
What's the
burger a
question?
sandwich? I don't know.
Is
All
a
right, I'm going to
burger
stop
a
looking at that.
Is a hot dog a what is it? A cereal soup or a cereal? Is that another one?
That one sucks. I hate that. That's awful.
You think it sucks now? Wait till you get into it.
Yeah. Actually, that's the price of entry for Deadpool tomorrow. They'll be asking you, hey, Milk, who was the first guy that tried to, said, I'm going to drink the first thing that fucking comes out of these things?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Um.
What else would they say? They'd ask you what an Abraham Lincoln was before you could get in.
What?
You know those when you're in secondary school, it's like, oh, did you hear about the Abraham Lincoln?
No. What's that?
It would just be like stupid shit. I mean, the Abraham Lincoln, that one on the bus, they would say is when you now this is from fucking school, okay?
But what's
so don't
the
put this
Abraham
on me.
Lincoln one?
It's meant to be like a sex act.
Oh, like yeah.
Yeah.
What is that one?
Apparently, you knock out a lady and then shave off her pubes and then make yourself a beard that looks like Abraham Lincoln. That's what they would do.
Yeah, I remember that.
That type of That's what will be like at Deadpool. They'll be doing that, but because it's Disney now, it'll be woke. It'll be like, yeah, but I would never do that.
Yeah, that's the last thing I'd do.
Yeah.
The taxpayer. You ever heard of that one?
Taking it up the ass, I'm presuming.
Yeah, fuck her in the
Okay.
ass and stand on her head,
Okay.
like the government.
Stand on her head.
Yeah.
There was one other one. There was the
The
famous one.
long-legged reach of the government.
There was a famous one which is awful. The donkey punch. That one's not funny though.
Unlike the others.
The others are very funny forms of sexual assault that are being described.
What about one called the
Aristocrat.
Yeah, the aristocrat.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the Deadpool projector breaks down. Hey guys, why don't we tell our favorite version of the aristocrats while we wait for that to start up again?
Yeah. I think the way a real guy he'd be like, I'm going to tell a joke.
Mm.
And then, he'd be like, start telling the jokes. And then as it got more bawdy and grotesque, everyone would be like, what is this guy doing? What was that? And then he goes, and it was called the aristocrats.
Mm.
Anyway, that's just something crazy that I thought of.
That's just something crazy that I do. Yeah, I was also
it's actually a really funny joke. I saw it online. It's like a historical joke that.
Yeah, there's a documentary about it. So. No, I was telling James as well that there's clearly some guy in the Arc Cinema in Cork who's got a Deadpool suit, and he comes into work and he better be getting paid for that promo. But like, I swear to God, so he takes pictures of himself dressed as Deadpool and doing the kind of cheeky faces that Deadpool does.
Yeah,
he puts his finger up towards his mouth and shit like that. And then the other one is there's a big poster for Deadpool versus Wolverine, and it says book your tickets now. And I'm convinced that part was actually written onto the kiosk in a marker by this guy, because it does not look like it's part of the poster at all. It doesn't even look like, the way it'd be like, oh, it's meant to look like Deadpool wrote it on in a marker. The marker is faded. The marker is not like, some graphic designer did I find a typeface that looks like, somebody's written something.
Is that the thing you sent me earlier?
I sent you a picture of Deadpool. I didn't send you the poster, unfortunately.
We just got followed by someone new on Instagram. So I'm going to blow their mind.
What is it?
This. Some guy called Hugh McCrane.
Okay. She Hugh on my crane.
Listen to this.
What? She Hugh on my crane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Now he's going to listen to this. And he's going to be like, oh, they've
lampooned
made an impact.
Me. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how that actually works, isn't it? Where I got a call out on Michael and Us. They were like, want to thank listener Gareth for sending this in. I was like, oh, nothing happened. What happened as a result of that? Nothing at all. Although they did talk about the video I sent in for about 2 or 3 minutes, so that's something.
He sent us a video of the donkey punch demonstration.
Yeah, what a horrible time the 2000s were, isn't it? Such a disgusting. I never want to go back.
They're still telling. We were just teenagers. I guarantee you, they're still telling those jokes now.
Yeah, probably more so now with people like Andrew Tate and, Jordan Peterson. And
yeah, though that's interesting. To get access to that sort of brain-melting content, you had to, watch comedy shows.
Yeah.
Whereas Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate don't make jokes.
No.
So, maybe they don't tell jokes because no one they're watching tells jokes anymore.
Yeah.
Joe?
I mean, I don't know how it works. Yeah, I think you're right, because it'd be like Opie and Anthony, or you're watching clips of that on YouTube and then
or
going
South Park or something.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Whereas if you're watching Andrew Tate and he's just I'm converting to Islam because Sikhs are sloths or something.
God damn it.
He's been so earnest.
That stuff drives me up the wall. I don't get Andrew Tate at all. I mean, I've said this when you were here last week, but and you were trying to tell me how much. No, just watch this one video. I swear.
And then my two favorite Muslims, Andrew Tate, Sinead O'Connor.
What about Zainab? What the fuck?
She's not Muslim.
Just kidding. He said his two favorite Muslims, Andrew Tate and Sinead O'Connor. But anyhow,
anywho,
Also, by the way, when he said that she's not a Muslim, she used to be a Muslim. So
No,
in case
she's
you were
not.
thinking, I know, but like when you go like when you say that, it implies that I think because she's from over there. Okay,
That is what you
she's
think.
from that part of the world. That
That
like
is what you think.
suddenly she's a fucking Muslim. Okay, not
That
necessarily.
is the implication.
Yeah. There's also, the last outpost of Western values out there, Israel, where people are also Jewish. And that's the two ones that are over there. Okay.
I always assumed she was that ancient Coptic order of Christianity.
Yeah. Hey, must be doing something right to be around this long, huh?
Yeah.
What were we saying about Andrew? Oh, I was just saying that I don't get Andrew. I just want to finish that where it's like, instead of leaving it hanging, which is, I do not understand Andrew Tate. And some of these guys I don't like, but I get what their role is. But with Andrew Tate, it's beyond me because he looks like shit and everything he's saying sounds completely stupid to me. And like...
Yeah. Andrew Tate, to me, he has a comedian's brain. You know what
and
I mean?
a comedian's face.
Like a lot of the stuff he says is constructed like a joke. He's just pretending like it's real, you know?
Absolutely.
Like
yeah.
He has a good one that's like, you invite all your closest male friends over.
Yeah.
And you say, tonight we're going to have some water. Yeah, everyone needs water. And then you give everyone some water. You give each person a glass. Secretly, it's sparkling water.
Okay.
And they all take a sip. You go, now we all take a sip. Any one of your friends who winces, makes a face like that, out. They're out. Get rid of them. You don't need them in your life.
Are you kidding me? Is that actually
That's
something he
really
said?
good, though, isn't it? It's really like it's sort of like he's like, I'll write a joke and then just pretend it's real because I want the audience that are the most brain dead.
No, but is that real? Or it's not something you made up?
That is real. He literally said that.
Oh
and
my God, he's so
but the thing is, he doesn't believe it. There's no way, like you couldn't. But like, he is pretending like he does to capture an idiotic audience, you know? And then like people watching are like,
but I just don't know
really
who
good
I
advice.
cannot believe the audience for that. It's literally like it is like a Cumtown character, but like that exists and is not a joke. Like you could imagine Nick Mullen saying that and just Stavros cackling in the background. And when they come in and they drink that water, if they make a face and
or there's one that is like, I can't remember why, he was on the Piers Morgan show.
Yeah.
And he was arguing that like wives are their husband's property.
Yeah.
Whatever way he was arguing it was like a comedian coming up with a bit, you know?
Yeah.
But obviously pretending like it's real.
I don't get it. Okay, fine. I get that somebody could be so without shame that they could say that. But the fact that it's finding a receptive ear is entirely baffling to me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his audience are like, just people who don't like women anyway.
That's it.
So then they're just like, you know, they already view women as untrustworthy. So that anything that Andrew Tate says that plays on that, they entertain. And, you know, I don't think they're going, oh, all of this is 100% true. But they're going like, it's true to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, the feeling is right, even if what he's saying doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, or like, they're going, oh yeah, some of them are like that, you know. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, you know.
Yeah.
Like the water one sort of plays into that thing of like, oh, I'm a stoic, you know, and I hold my composure at all times, you know.
Or like,
but this asshole in my friend group, he's a weakling, you know?
Or that idea of like my boy, I'm the leader of the pack. My boys.
Yeah.
Like because you were saying, oh, just give them water. And first of all, they'd notice whether it was fucking sparkling or not. So that's already stupid. But like if they were drinking it, you know, and it's like, drink it. It's still water. And then they'd be like, okay. And you know, like they he even wants his friends to be submissive. And these guys are like, that's so sick that there's like enough people that find that like, I would love to have women be my property, my friends to be afraid of me, you know, like to have to never know whether I could.
Is he's talking about how when he was in Romania, he's like, I had 15 girlfriends on the go.
Yeah.
And I invite them all to Romania on the same day to meet at my apartment. They all arrive and they all sit down and I go, look, I have a business opportunity for you. We're all going to stream.
Yeah.
So if you want to be here, stay. If you want out, out. And then, you know, like 7 of them left and 7 of them stayed. So I got them streaming. But here's the thing is, women don't know what women want to hear. So they would look good on camera, but when they were chatting to people, they didn't know what to say. So I took the keyboard and I'd be writing to the guys and I'd be telling them what they wanted to hear. I knew exactly what they were looking for. And like he's talking about like sexting with men. And he's been completely overt about that. And the thing is like, it takes a man to do a woman's job sort of thing. It's like that's like a comedy bit, but he's like,
it's so strange.
That, like the women are too stupid.
It's so strange. I guess
so
okay,
weird.
like I mean, like, I'll probably have to cut this bit out, but like there was some kids, like teenagers, who were doing an art project, okay, that I was aware of because of the work that I do, which is teaching kids with animation and whatnot. And one of them was doing like a portrait of Andrew Tate as their project. And that was the thing that really like, because I thought like, oh, like he's just a bit of a goof, or he's like Mr. Beast or something. But like you have to sit there every day and be drawing something. So the rest of the stuff that'd be there would be like a fucking, there weren't people who were that pushed about art. So they were just like drawing what they liked, you know? You have to draw your like heroes, people you idolize and admire, or things. So there'd be fucking like a Maserati and then Andrew Tate, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like if somebody did that of Jordan Peterson, I'd actually almost understand it. But when somebody does it of Andrew Tate, it's literally all they're saying is, I want to own people and everybody is beneath me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me.
I think they received wisdom on him. You know, they're like, it's funny. I know someone, they were telling me that they were in London and they were tutoring like basically kids who've been kicked out of school, you know, for violent behavior, all this sort of stuff. And he was trying to teach this guy maths. And the guy was like, eventually the guy was like, what's your life like? The guy, who I made. And he was like, oh, you know, I get paid this amount and I live in this like small flat over in the south London.
Yeah.
And the guy was just like, your life sounds awful. Why would I want to be like you?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, so Ray couldn't just be like, oh, you know, if you study hard, you can be like me. This guy's looking at his life and he's like, that's grim.
Yeah,
I want to be rich, you know? So I think that's the thing with Andrew Tate. It's like, you know, they're looking at their parents and they're being like, they live grim lives.
Yeah.
So the parents can't even be like, oh, you know, you have to be a good person. Because they're like, no, because that leads me to live like you.
Yeah.
I want to be on top.
Yeah. It's funny.
Like, how do you convince them out of that?
I don't know. I know. I do want to lead that into talking about Coolock again, actually, and Sinn Féin's response to it. But before this is just an anecdote, just a funny little story. Now, so when I was teaching animation at the summer camp on Leeson Street, and there was all these posh kids that would come in, and they would have like sushi for lunch and stuff like that. And then they found out that I was from Galway, and they were genuinely disgusted. They were like, they couldn't. They were like, I don't even know whether to take what you say seriously anymore. Yeah, they're all kids from Dublin. I just found that funny.
What was the school?
It was a summer. It was like it was like a summer school, but it was organized and kind of this lady was pulling a real swizz. One of the stories that I heard out of the place was that. Because what she did is she was like, okay, we've got a coding class downstairs, we've got cooking, we've got a sports camp, we've got filmmaking, and then we've got animation, and then and she just had it all in the same building. All these kids, the age range that I had was the youngest was 4 years old, and the oldest was 12. Okay. And I had 10 kids to look after. She did not do any Garda vetting. I interviewed with her on Sunday, and I was starting then on Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
And we got paid $300 a week, which was obviously fucking nothing. And then I also recommended Rory while I was being interviewed. And so then Rory just got a job then the next day. She didn't even see him. She didn't even see him face to face. I just told her about him. Anyway, it's crazy. But like what ended up happening was there was some story I heard where there was like a kid with Down syndrome, okay, who just went missing. They didn't know where the hell they were, okay?
Yeah. And
they looked all over the place and then eventually found them like shaking in a cupboard, okay? Just they were terrified of everybody, like because they're like it's chaos. Like there's no way that like I was about like 21 and I just couldn't control all of these kids. They were screaming, running all over the place. I was scared, is what I'm saying. But anyway, the woman who ran this saw that. No, but like the woman who ran it was like, sure, she's fine there.
Oh,
just
hell,
let her like she's grand. She's like, whatever you can do to keep them busy. Because she was like, as long as they're sending the money in, then who gives a shit? Imagine that. Imagine being that person. Fucking mental. But yeah, how do you convince people to not believe awful, horrible things? Because that was something I was thinking about with Coolock. Because like people are like, do you know when you have this thing where it's like, well, I guess I just seen some really awful videos of people like trying to kick in the thing that happened in Dundalk recently, where they're like the Mary Wallopers are on the front line of this anti-racist protest. They were protesting the people who were there to protest the migrants. Okay, but like the cops eventually moved on the peaceful demonstration. And then these guys came back, and I could be wrong about that detail, so don't hold me for that one. But one thing is that there was video footage of these guys just violently trying to kick in the door where there's like migrants on the other side.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I just am like at a point where it's like, it doesn't, because remember when it was like, we have to, burn the fuckers out was the kind of marching orders, it seems. And then they were like, once the squad car got set on fire, they were like, no. They incited that. They actually faked that. The guards did that. Drew Harris did that, actually. That wasn't real.
Was in Coolock.
Yeah, that was in Coolock. But what I'm saying is that's the whole thing that the country round, which is like, no, we're not racist. Well, here's some video of like a bunch of you just screaming at a child who's walking into one of these centers. Yeah, but that's just one person. That's made to make us look bad. I'm worried about these, unvetted military-aged men, these black and brown people. Like, because obviously we'd be able to handle them if they came from Donegal, but we can't handle them when they come from some other country. And their values don't correspond to ours. They will rape us. And you're just like, I don't really know what to say to you because, like, you're just... The racism is like some HIV virus. It's just going to mutate to whatever we give to you. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who are just like, dyed in the wool, racist. As in, like, you're never going to be able to convince them otherwise. You know? Like, you read about the guys who were, like, Skype calling your man out of the KKK.
Yes. Yeah.
Your man, what was his name?
Frank De Silvia, because I thought he sounded like a bunch of other people.
And he was like giving them advice, and one bit of his advice was like, keep your motivations secret, sort of thing. But like, basically, don't say the quiet part loud.
Yeah.
Which they have not been following. But, when you're ringing up some guy out of the KKK,
you're
not in the realm of discussion, Like, even think about it, like, say the KKK was set up to be, it was like anti-Catholic when it was founded. And like, they still don't like Catholics.
Yeah.
And then the far right in Ireland are supposed to be protecting the Irish, but they're linking in with the KKK and then with like Tommy Robinson. So like, they're not arguing anything in good faith.
Yeah.
I think what's happened though is that there's a lot of people who can be swayed.
Yeah.
And you can just take the oxygen away from them. Like,
I don't know. I just feel like if
there
you
were
see
enough houses,
but if they know all of that stuff is happening, like, there's just measure of degrees. It's those guys who are like, no, I'm talking to the KKK. Obviously, I don't agree with them, but they have some effective organizing methods that I want to adopt. Same with Tommy Robinson. It's like, I don't have to agree. There's a guy in America and he wants all of these people gone. Okay. It's like, somebody on the left who's like talking, a social democrat talking to a communist or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm just listening to the parts of his ideas that I accept, and then the parts that I don't adopt at all. And I'm still not racist, even though I've spoken to all these people. And so that's those guys. Okay. Well, maybe they're also racist. I mean, they are definitely also racist. But then there's the other people who are looking at those guys talking to the KKK and be like, well, I don't agree with them, but they have it right on these issues, And then all of it is kind of just ingrained, where it's like this part, like it's down to like the most simple thing, which is like, they keep going on and they're going, I'm just worried about what's happening to my community. And they're not saying we're going to be, the blacks are trying to outbreed us. They're just saying like, this person is different to me and therefore I don't trust them. Okay. And I don't even know how you appeal to that because that's just, you just got to say like, well, that's not true. And then they go, well,
I think with those people, they're like, what's the word? Like, if you're living in somewhere like Coolock and you're going like, my community is in disarray, that's a correct opinion. And then if you say like, if you were to say there are too many migrants in Coolock, right, and that they're taking resources away, you might be correct in saying that. You know what I mean? Like it's in, so that feeling is true, but I don't know how you convince them not to take it out on the migrants.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like, you and they are the same. And like, what's really happening is that there's like a stretching of resources. It's somewhat artificial. Like you live in an underserved
never see themselves
community.
as the same. Do you know?
But, but that's the reality of it. They are the same.
I know. I'm just looking at the comments because like, you're like, what happens when somebody says they were talking to somebody from the Ku Klux Klan, and I was like, probably these people are just going to say that's a lie. So I'm looking at the comments. Maybe I shouldn't be doing. On the tweet that the Irish Times put out of this. Terry Kay goes, and obviously all these people have blue checks. So you've got one former KKK member having a chat with an Irish lad as evidence of mentoring, that's air quotes, Irish, air quotes, far-right extremists. It's a stretch. Let's be honest, and even at that, there is no evidence contained within of those alleged conversations other than noting a transcript. Taxi Dave then says, when is Gallagher going to cover the fact that ISIS are now in Ireland and they are operating out of direct provision centres? Hashtag migrant crime. Then Carville John goes, produce the evidence. I do not trust the objectivity of the far left Irish Times one iota. And then, yeah, mostly it's just pointing at, here's a Muslim who committed a crime, or here's, whatever. Here's a black or brown lad in fucking Birmingham who,
Like, you're never going to convince those guys because those guys are on Twitter actively spreading propaganda. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I feel like those guys are also activating people on the ground. They're also out there.
But like, what I'm saying is that you're not going to change, like, the people who are doing the activating. You're not going to change their mind.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to change, what's his name?
Gavin Pepper.
You're not going to change his mind, and you're not going to change taxi driver Dave's mind.
Yeah. But then, like, sorry.
And then the guy who's reading taxi driver Dave, you could change his mind.
I don't think so. That's what I'm getting at now. I'm just feeling like...
The difference I'm making, though, is that, say for, like, taxi driver Dave, he has incorporated this into his identity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he runs a Twitter account that's set up to spread racism. Like, he is very overt in what he's doing. Whereas the chap who's just like, has been on the receiving end of a lot of this propaganda.
Yeah.
And he's like entertaining these ideas. Like, that's a different, like, characteristic.
I also feel that these people will, like, have these ideas knocking around their head and maybe say it to people that they trust and then have it either reinforced or dismissed and just be like, that's just the way he is, And that's how a bunch more of these people start to exist. They're not people who will go out, like, and violently attack somebody, but they are people who will eventually vote for people who are willing to attack somebody or think, like, good for them. Like, remember when I went to that pub in Port Arlington and they were like, you haven't been to Dublin again. Like, you don't know what it's like up there. Like, this guy admitted that he hadn't lived in Dublin for 5 years, but was saying that the streets were covered with piss and shit and that there was people that were violent to everybody. There was also, like, a taxi driver that we had in Cork who he said he was driving us at, like, so we were coming back from the bus station this when we lived way the fuck out, so we had to get a taxi home because it was 4 a.m. and we just weren't in the mood to, like, trek out there. So we got in this taxi and this guy, like, he said that he lived in Cork for about 10 or 20 years, but he, like, on the backdrop of his phone was, like, the blue and navy for the Dublin flag.
Yeah.
And and he was going on about, like, he hadn't visited or been in Dublin for ages and ages and ages. And I was like, oh, okay. And I could kind of feel where it was going. And I was just trying to say, yeah, me and Zainab were just there, And he was like, yeah, the place is covered in Romanians and they're just pissing and shitting in the streets. They're just doing... And I was just like, I don't think that that's fair. I think it's the...
Yeah.
The
you
bankers
should have said
and
they're all like that.
What were you saying?
Everyone in Dublin.
What? Which?
I'm not a racist. What?
Oh, he said the most important thing to preface this was, I'm not a racist, but. And there's a lot of people, these people who think that they obviously aren't racist, and then they're being given the mic. Like, once again.
But I feel like with that guy.
Yeah.
Right. This might be too good a faith to read it. But it's like, he thinks he's in... The difference between him and your man, Gavin Pepper, is that Gavin Pepper is making stuff up.
Yeah.
to prove a point. Whereas I think that guy is regurgitating stuff he's heard because he believes it's true.
Yeah.
You know? And like, because of that, he's someone who could conceivably go the other way. It's unlikely because he seems quite far down the rabbit hole. But like, he's like, he believes this to be true.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's just we have a deeply, this is just fucking like a banal observation, but we have a very, very deeply racist society in Ireland that I hadn't quite twigged quite how racist it was, where it's like at the core of it is like, you know, oh, you do this, you know, the stupid shit where it's like, sure, we were going all over the place and we built New York and we're migrants and we're all this, that, and the other. And it's just like, but at the absolute core, there is like a sizable amount of people who, you know, they'll claim like Phil Lynott, but then at the end of the day, they'll still be like, yeah, but he is still, you know. Do you know what I mean? They still have that like binary idea of it, do you know?
I don't think... I think there's when they're thinking of like other races, whatever, they're not thinking of Phil Lynott. And if you brought that up, they wouldn't have an answer.
Well, I just think that, yeah.
I think like when you say we have a racist society, like a large part of that is that, like, it's like, it's always an answer, you know? Like, diversity is readily available as a problem or as a cause of like a lot of discontent, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like historically been an answer.
Yeah.
So when people see discontent or they see like a problem, it's primed in their brain as, you know?
Yeah.
So, and like, just going through life, it's like received. You receive it from like a lot of different things, you know? You know, so, like, say, do you remember we were watching your man, the fat chap from Mayo, who plays guitar? You remember him?
The long hair.
Yeah. What's
the
his
beard.
name?
Let's look him up. He was just recently in a Paddy Power ad, and that part didn't make it into an episode. I had to cut that for time, which I probably should stop cutting stuff for time and just do.
But say,
let me
like,
look him up.
He was talking there. We watched the video, and he was like,
he's talking about what the fuck was her name again?
It was like,
that's bad.
Far right violence, whatever.
It was the court case in Limerick recently. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but we were talking about, it was after the riots in Dublin. And he put out the video. Ages, in November. And he was like, he put out this well-meaning video. And he was like, you know, we all just have to love each other. And like, you know, we have to manage migration. Because if you have too many, you can like fuck stuff up. And like, I genuinely, like, he wouldn't like Gavin Pepper.
Who is this? Like, actually, I'm trying to place him.
The fat chap from Mayo he makes TikToks and.
Are we talking like because there was another one like 2 weeks ago or a few weeks ago, which I showed you, where he was talking about the woman who's the guy who like beat her unconscious, the army guy, Cathal Crotty.
Oh, maybe that was it. And he talked about migration. Yeah,
he was like, you know, she didn't have a choice, and we need to start punishing these people more, and doing this hard punitive. So basically, people were like retweeting it, going, "Yeah, go on, man."
Then he included the line, and he was like, "We need to punish these people, or maybe even not let them into the country."
He's like, "These are some people. These are people with previous criminal records, or people maybe who shouldn't have even been let into the country in the first place." And I was like, "Surely there's a better." Like there was people sharing that, and I was getting annoyed because I was like, well, the sentiment you can find that sentiment pretty much anywhere without that fucking line in it if you wanted to. Do you know?
His name was Garron Noon.
Hello, how are you getting on? I don't make serious videos very often because I don't think anybody could give a fuck what I think about anything. But what happened this week to Natasha O'Brien, I think, is absolutely disgraceful. And I do think it's important and makes a difference for everybody to express that this is not how we want the country run and that it's just completely unacceptable. What you see time and time again is somebody will end up murdered and you find the person that's done it and you look into their past, and this is exactly the sort of shit that you see. They've been to court, they've shown they're violent, they've shown they're dangerous, that they're a predator. Maybe you look into their past and say they should have never even been allowed into the country in the first place, but nobody bothered to look at them. And somebody winds up losing their life over that.
And I think he was phrasing that sentiment in like, it's like he's expressing it in like the language of the discourse that he's in, you know? He's just following the news and he's just looking at things. And I think that he probably even has like he's definitely not far right, do you know what I mean? He's just like, oh, this is one of the facts, you know? One of the facts is that violent people try to get into the country, you know?
Well, I'm just talking about because those people worry me because they're marginal. Do you know what I mean? Because they keep spreading that and reinforcing that shit. And then now, like, I was on like RTE, and then one of the topics that they have is just, you know, like next to fucking climate change, next to the housing crisis, immigration. And it's just like, fuck me. Do you know, like, and it's so fabricated from fucking, to me, it's completely fabricated. And like, I don't know. Maybe, you know, people will come, oh no, actually that the numbers say that there's more people coming into the country and there's more. It's like, yeah, but like people, we should be able to handle this. The reason that, you know, we're not is because like you're talking about a fucking paint factory that they're trying to repurpose into accommodation for migrants. Yeah. And they're like, no, fuck that, burn it out. And it's like, why is this the focus? We pointed this out a million times. The people who get interviewed are the concerned citizens. They're not the fucking migrants who are being targeted. Even though we know that they're capable of doing it, because there's always somebody out there when the Ukrainians were coming here, there's always somebody there to hold the microphone and be like, look how well I integrated into the community, or look how much the Department of Integration has let us down. It's like, where the fuck have you been, man? Do you know, this whole time? Yeah. I'm getting a bit broad with it, but like the point is like, those marginal people worry me the most because they, one, normalize it, and then two, they'll be the one to throw a number to some fucking independent who's just kind of, you know, I don't agree with them on everything, but he's talking sense on these issues, and you know, and then that's when you get somebody like Derek Bly as a fucking TD, and electorally these guys can do, to me, to my mind, a lot of fucking damage. I mean, so, yeah.
Like part of the issue, I mean, most of the issue is that, like the people in government say they don't feel the need to respond to people, you know? So say like...
Well, they're encouraging them in most instances as well.
Yeah, but say like, someone like Gavin Pepper.
Yeah.
Like they don't like migrants, but then say, and maybe I'm making this guy up, but... He's looking at the paint factory in Coolock, right? Yeah. And he's going, you know, how come they're doing that for migrants and they're not doing it for the people in my community? You know what I mean? Like, there's all this vacant property and sure, it's all going to migrants. And like, my thinking on it is that, like, the government aren't doing that because that would interfere with like a profit directive of like, you know, property developers. Like,
somebody's got to get their beak wet, you know?
Yeah, like migrants are never going to buy housing.
Yeah.
But they can't live in like this sort of like direct provision, subsidized, like thing where it's just, the government finding a way to give money to contractors.
Exactly.
Whereas Irish people, in theory, could buy housing. They can rent it. So the government aren't going to interfere with that market.
Mm-hmm.
But the government are never going to say that. So, like, I think that when you run into those questions that aren't being answered, and then, like, someone like Gavin Pepper comes along and answers them for you, and he says, oh, the reason that's happening is because there's a great replacement going on.
Mm.
Like, that's a motivating answer.
I just think that if you're primed to accept that answer, then, like, I just don't understand how they're so susceptible to that really ugly thought and not the other thought. Do you know what I mean? like how come you can't go to somebody and say, like, no, we're all in this together and we all need to, work against the politicians. And then you're presented with two options, which is like, here's what we should do from like a left-wing perspective. And here's what we should do. We should burn them out of it. And then people go like, well, I'll go with burning them out of it, actually. Do you know what I mean? I'll go with we need to, barricade the canal and we need to find all these tents and throw them into a skip. Like, we need to continue with direct provision and actually take care of me. And it's just like, I suppose I've answered my own question there.
But you're conflating two things there, because, like,
that's the free part. Over on patreon.com/KeltyCligers, the Ligers talk about Sinn Féin's migration policy, Kamala Harris becoming the likely Democratic presidential candidate, and Oliver Callan's number 2 hater after Gar. That's patreon.com/KeltyCligers, where a $5 a month gets you additional content every week and access to the back catalog. Any bit of money helps keep the show going. Bye.